I want to share a story with you guys. It's something really important, but I think to tell it right, I've got to start us on common ground, so that you can understand the story as I experienced it. Back in 2015, when Halo 5 came out, I got totally sucked in. I enjoyed the game a whole lot, and the new Forge blew my mind sky high. Unfortunately, this could not be said for my close group of longtime friends, who I had played with since Halo 3. One by one, they all stopped playing Halo, and eventually, I was the only person left playing it amongst our group. It's no secret that to properly enjoy a multiplayer game, you probably need friends, and for the first time in a long time, I didn't have people to play games with anymore. I started to feel bogged down by always going solo, and even though I had recently enlisted in Forge Hub as a means to connect with other Forgers, I still felt I hadn't really made any new close friends. This would all change by what had to be pure random chance. Longtime viewers might have noticed that I'm actually in a Spartan company called Skull Crushers. This is because I met a guy named Dan, or he's more commonly known, Octopus Beak. You see, at first I had no plans to join a clan or a Spartan company. I felt a little old for it really, and I just wasn't down for it. But one night, I ended up in an Xbox party with Dan and several other of the original Skull Crushers. A long night of chatting and customs convinced me to join them, and I guess that's where the story begins. You see, Dan was the former of the Skull Crushers, and if you know anything about clans or Spartan companies, they can be really uptight or really disconnected. The Skull Crushers, funny enough, were neither. You see, Dan had an underlying motif with the company. Basically, anybody could join. Whatever, whoever, anybody could join, so long as you were down for having a good time and hanging out. So over the years, Dan and the Crushers became my sort of Halo family. I came to know many of them personally, actually, outside of gaming. I had the very unique privilege of getting to see some of the younger members grow up and go through high school. Friends once connected by mic not only met in person, but they had actual visceral connections. Hardships and triumphs were shared, and I know it all sounds really corny, but it's also very surreal. I think I'm extremely honored to have this experience, to be able to have had this perspective. I owe Dan and the Crushers a lot, actually. Many of you watching know me now as Ascend Hyperion, the Halo personality who makes machinima and Forge videos and art on Twitter and stuff, but in the beginning, the Crushers were the people that supported me first. I mean, without exaggeration, they played the maps for my map features, they joined my streams, they chatted, they made them really fun and hilarious. I mean, even Dan acted in Huntress. At the drop of a hat, no questions asked, supported and encouraged my ideas. In 2020, when I look back, it's fair for me to say that if it weren't for Dan and the Crushers, I probably wouldn't have started this YouTube stuff. The art stuff, none of it. Without them, I wouldn't have had that initial push. You see, Dan did that for all the Crushers. He, above all else, just loved to see people have fun. It's a crazy simple motif that not a lot of people have, at least not truly. Dan stuck with it and he lived it. He brought together over 100 people under one silly little name. He coached younger men on how to treat women, encouraged members who weren't so good at the game to keep trying, and asked skilled players to help teach others. He was always there when someone needed someone to talk to, just without question. Subconsciously, Dan changed how I view Halo, how I view gaming. In an age where so many players are focused on picking apart game series for what they consider good or bad, Dan was just kind of focused on one thing. Just starting up the game and having fun with others. Strangers who you go on to call friends. Dan passed away today. I got the news this morning. I'm telling you this story because in reality I wish I could have told it to Dan. I wish I could have thanked him one more time for bringing me into the Crushers. For giving me a family, in a way, away from my family. For helping me become Ascend Hyperion. It's a sobering reminder that at any time, things can change, fast. My heart goes out to Dan's family, who I hope can take this message from a stranger and find some solace in it, maybe. Thanks, Dan. I'll see you later.
And in the Ponca City Blackwell area, 68 degrees.